everyone. We are back in the field with a farmer today doing a harvest hangout, and today we are harvesting black beans in the thumb, and we are with Greg Ackerman, and he will show us how black beans are harvested and tell us all about the process.
Welcome everyone. We're here in the thumb of Michigan on a probably average sized family farm, harvesting some black beans today. Crop this year is really dry, but we're doing what we can, and we'll give you a little preview of the process here. So I farm here with my family. I got two cousins and one of their sons, and I also have a daughter that's full-time, a son that's part-time, and we have some there's 7 of us full-time and a few part-time also. So I still like to call it a smaller mid-sized family farm in today's world. So if you want to well, we're going to do a turn here. It's been a while since we've had any rain, so things are a little bit dry, and our ground speed here today is a little slower than we would normally go, but the beans are small and we're trying to give them time to feed in, trying to do a good job and not rush it. So you gotta love your beans. Everybody, word of the day is eat more beans. So we're doing black beans here, and they're running about 13%, which dry is 16. You like to get them around 16. It's easier for the processors to handle them, process them, and so forth. If you look in the bin behind me, you can see there's a few splits in there. We're just starting also this morning, so not much to do overnight, just a few sprinkles. But the quality this year is really good on the beans. There's hardly any pick in them. The color on the navy beans are really good. Small red beans are excellent. That's the main 3 that we grow here in Michigan. So
you raise more than these black beans here today?
Yes, yeah. This year we only had navies along with black beans. We just started in the blacks yesterday, and we only have a couple days left. We'll be done with the dry beans. And I think across Michigan, I would say 85% of the dry beans are grown in the thumb. And there's a few pockets to the west. You get north of Bay City, there's a few pockets up there, but the majority of the black beans are Tuscola, Huron, Sanilac, Saginaw, and Bay counties are the majority of them. So.
And what's on your right there? What is all of that?
This is the computer that runs everything. So this is basically running my auto steer. It's telling me what my moisture is in my crop, acres per hour. It gives you kind of the details of everything. It gives you the variety that we're in, because we download that on the computer as we're planting. This here is more of the combine setup, my grain loss, engine RPMs, ground speed. This is running the header, this area here. Just the controls for everything. Everything can be adjusted on this machine pretty much right from the cab, from the header controls, combine setup, the speed of the cylinder, the fans. Everything is technology today. Everything's advanced so much. So what we're doing here today is we're actually direct harvesting. 15 years ago there was very little of this out there. It was all pulled and windrowed and pulled up with combines and harvest afterwards. With direct harvesting, you're not really impacting the soil as much, so you don't get all that dirt and debris that would normally come in, which they call foreign material or FM. So our beans today are much cleaner. Okay.
And are there other ways that you are protecting Michigan's environment too?
Oh yeah. I mean, just about everybody involved in agriculture is proactive and taking care of. Hang on, my auto steer shut off here for something. Is proactive in what they do. We grow cover crops. We do grid sampling for our soils and apply fertilizer only where needed. We're very cautious of what pesticides and herbicides that we use. Everything is on label, right down to the food safety, cleaning out combines, cleaning out trucks before you dump into them. We don't want any contamination. Food safety today is a huge thing, and more so even in edible beans because it's such a directly to the consumer related. So
yeah, speaking of which, what's your favorite way to use your products?
Favorite way? Well, there's a lot of ways. I don't know if I have a favorite, but beans and rice, bean soup, like these here. We have black bean hummus that we use now, so that's good. There's a lot more uses in edible beans today than there was even 15 years ago. There's flour that we make out of them, but pasta. So they're making noodles, chips. If we use that like refries, they're refried. There's just a lot of different ways. And the thing we have going for us, I would say, is beans are one of the healthiest foods available. They're high in protein and high in fiber, so there's a lot of advantages. They've even come out and said that beans can fight off cancer. There's an enzyme or amino acid or something in beans that actually fight off cancer, so that helps also.
Great. Tell us more about the process of raising beans all the way through.
Okay, so these beans were planted first week of June, and typically dry beans in Michigan are about 100 days to harvest. The weather impacts that one way or another. If it's too dry or too warm or too cool or too much rain, you can't control Mother Nature, so you try and do everything that's in your power to do the best job you can, and then just pray that Mother Nature treats you right. So we plant in June. We roll them so to get the ground nice and flat so we can come in here and clip them. We'll typically spray herbicide on them when they're small, and insecticide to keep the bugs from eating them. And then we pretty much let them go. They're on their own. The fertilizer is applied also in the spring. And then up till harvest, there's really not a lot we have to do with them. So
Sounds easy then. Everybody can do it, right?
oh yeah, I think so. They're a lot easier than they were 20 years ago, that's for sure. Technology and the way it's advanced and the way we harvest today with direct cutting, and you can see the environment we're in, it's just much easier. So 20 years ago, you wouldn't have been sitting on here harvesting beans, I'm sure, with us.
What's your favorite part of farming?
Favorite part? I guess being your own boss, maybe. Taking pride in what you do and what you grow, and how your things look, and keeping things up. Also, probably, no matter what you're involved in, if it's community, is prepping the next generation, the youth. Getting them involved and helping them, no matter if it's succession to your farm or just in the community. To me, it's pretty important. I enjoy that too.
I see that there's a few people watching us live today, and if you have any questions at all as we're going along, please let us know, and we'll get those answered right here live in our Harvest Hangout. We're getting to the end here in this section of the field, and you can see in front of us there's a tractor and I'm going to call it a wagon. But he's gonna get what we've harvested from the bin behind us. Tell us about that a little bit.
So, you can only harvest dry beans when the beans will shell open. In the mornings, if there's a dew, the beans are a little bit tough, the pods. So when we get harvesting, we don't want to stop. So what they do is we dump them into this dump cart. And the dump cart, the nice thing about that is it doesn't re-auger them or anything. It just tips into the trucks, so it doesn't injure the beans or hurt the quality of them at all. So what we try and do is keep the combine running. Once it starts, it never stops. So she can show you a picture here as we're unloading into the dump cart. There's not a truck in the field as of yet, but there should be one shortly. There's one at the elevator dumping, and So what we do is we slow this elevator system down so it's only running like half speed, and that helps for quality of the food also. If we would run it normal like we do in corn and wheat, it would damage the beans. It's a little rougher on them, and even though it wouldn't end up at the table, it would damage them for the processor.
And we can see the dust flying around. How does that get removed from this food product?
So when we take it, we're part of a co-op, Bayside up in Sebring, and that's where this load of beans will go. It goes through a thorough process there. So it goes through a cleaner, goes through a stoner, goes through an electric eye. So everything is completely removed. There's even a metal detector in there, so if there happened to have been a hunter in here and he shot out in the field and there was a BB and a bean, it would detect it. So food safety is an important thing today, and with edible beans, like I said earlier, it's probably the one that we're closest to as far as going directly to the consumer.
Amazing. That was fast. So then where does that all go from here?
That'll go to a processing plant, and this processing plant is fairly large. They still have beans from last year, so it's not something that's just seasonal. They're processing year-round. I think up at Bayside they do around 750,000 bags, but there's a lot of processing. We haul some to the cooperative elevator, we haul some to Star of the West, ADM. There's several places in Michigan that take beans. These black beans, a good chunk of these will actually end up in Mexico. However, domestic consumption of black beans is on the rise for the last 15 years, on a steady rise. So consumers in North America here have been eating a lot more black beans. Maybe Chipotle has something to do with that, because Chipotle uses a lot of black beans also. We have a few things to go around. We'll try and do the best we can to get into open area here. It looks like we have some rain coming in from the north too, which would be welcomed if it would rain.
Yes, that was my one job of the day. You said bring the rain.
Yes.
So I did my best, and as you can see, there are some storm clouds.
Whether it makes it here or not, but somebody's going to get some rain, aren't they? Tell me when we're on.
Hi again, everyone. We are live from the field in the thumb of Michigan, harvesting black beans with farmer Greg Ackerman, and we lost cell phone coverage for just a moment. So we're back, and we had a question on the other video. Someone wanted to know how many bushels per acre these are yielding, and that's a very technical question. But also, do you do no-till? So, Greg, can you tell us a little bit about what that means and what you guys do here on the farm?
Yep. So these beans are about 30, 35 bushel in between there, depending on where you're at in the field. When we typically plant, we try and get 45 to 50 bushel, but Mother Nature wasn't so cooperative this year and just dropped us very, very minimal rain since 30th of June. As far as no-tilling, this is conventional till here. We also raise sugar beets on our farm, and with sugar beets and dry beans in the rotation, it's pretty hard to no-till. You pretty much got to be maybe a corn, soybean, and wheat grower for no-till. That could change down the road with new technologies and the way we farm, but we also We raise white wheat here on the farm, corn, soybeans, and sugar beets and these edible beans. So we do grow cover crop on a rotation 2 of the 4 years, which kind of captures some nutrient value that's left in your soil maybe that you didn't remove with the crop that you had on there. Also gives you some humus to work down in the soil to build your soil. So we're always doing things to help make the soil better, maybe, so to speak, better than what it was when you got it, just, from the soil sampling and the way we fertilize and all the different practices. So hope that helps.
Yeah, can we back up a minute and can you tell people what is a bushel? If you're trying to get 45 or 50 of those per acre, which is about the size of a football field, what is a bushel?
So a bushel in edible beans is 60 pounds. The people in the trade normally talk hundredweight because that's how they sell them. So like these particular beans, when they go in the bag and they go to Mexico, which a lot of these will, they'll get sold by the hundredweight. So there's 100 pounds per hundredweight. So the people in the trade usually don't talk bushels very often.
Okay. And can you describe the process of no-till and kind of what that means as well?
Yeah, so no-till is just a different practice. Instead of coming in here and digging your soil up and trying to get rid of compaction, they do it in other ways. They do it with cover crops also, tram lines, so they're not tracking all over the field as much as we do, less trips. They leave their organic matter on top of the soil. They don't really till it in where we work ours in. There's nothing wrong with either one. There's just a different way of doing things. In Michigan, we're pretty diverse agriculture, especially in the thumb. I think the only state that has more diversity than us is California. You're only seeing a small part of it here today with the livestock, the fruit and vegetables, pickles, whatever it is. I think we're number 2 in diversity in all the 50 states, actually.
That's right. Yeah, so one of the things that I love about Michigan agriculture is that not only are we really diverse and there are so many career options in agriculture, beyond farming, beyond being a farmer yourself. One of the cool things about Michigan agriculture is that the choices that Michigan farmers are making on their farms, that provides the choices that we have in our marketplace, and that means in the grocery store, that means at a farmer's market, and that means at markets that you're directly buying a product on a farm. And so the choices that Greg has and all other farmers have, the choices that they're making provide the choices that we have in the products and the methods and the values. That all provides choices that we have as consumers. So Greg, tell us one more time how you like to eat this product that you raise, and talk about the other products too, your favorite things.
Okay, well, for one, when you talked about choices, we do what the consumers want. Whatever the consumers want, we try and give them, because you can't create a market that isn't there. So beans is a growing market. I feel it's definitely going to be here for the future. As people continue to eat healthier, they're going to choose beans because it's proven that it's one of the healthiest foods out there. We enjoy them. I enjoy them in many different ways. I like beans. Not everybody likes them. Another thing with edible beans, it's so closely related to the consumers that food safety is number 1 priority. When we go into our processing plants up here, we have to sign in. You can't walk in there with a drink. There's just a lot of rules up here. Almost everybody has a full-time staff person that works on food safety and watches over every little detail. sign in a book when you come in the door to anything that's going on out in the plant with employees. It's just an important part of the processes that are directly related to the consumer today.
Amazing. Well, we're going to keep riding along and finish out this field of Michigan black beans. But if you have any questions for Greg or for any farmer, please let us know. And you can always visit michigangrown.org to learn more about local farms. Thanks for joining us.